On behalf of the YWCA Rock County, welcome and thank you all for being here today. Stand Against Racism is a signature campaign of the YWCA USA to build community among those who work for racial justice and to raise awareness about the negative impact of institutional and structural racism in our communities. This campaign is one part of our larger national strategy to fulfill the YWCA's mission of eliminating racism, empowering women, and promoting peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. The YWCA Board of Supervisors, the Rock County Board of Supervisors, how soon we forget. Anyway, the Rock County Board of Supervisors, as well as the City of Janesville, and all of the cities, villages, and towns in the county have designated today, April 25th, as Stand Against Racism Day in Rock County. Woo-hoo. Here to share the County Board's proclamation is County Board Supervisor Mary Beaver.
It's my honor to be here today to read the resolution from the Rock County Board Supervisors. Stand Against Racism Day, April 25th, 2019. Whereas racism and discrimination hurt everyone and have profound effect on children, adults, communities, and institutions, and whereas racism can take many different forms, including discrimination, personal attacks, violence, written or verbal threats or insults, damage to property, graffiti, or inequity of treatment to individuals of race, color, creed, and ethnicity by institutions, and whereas the Rock County recognizes that all people should be treated with dignity, respect, and justice, and whereas Stand Against Racism Day is a nationally recognized initiative with a purpose to encourage communities to raise awareness that racism still exists while offering to be part of the solution to end racism and other forms of discrimination. And whereas the YWCA USA 2019 theme is No Hate, No Fear, focusing on immigration and racism, as we know that immigrants' justice is racial justice and that xenophobia and bigotry impacts the lives and safety of our communities. And whereas racism, acts of hate, violence, and disparities in our institutions based on race, religion, ethnic heritage, gender orientation, or disability not only affect the victim, but affect our entire community and nation. And whereas the County of Rock supports the mission of the YWCA Rock County to eliminate racism in our community, state, and nation. Now therefore be it resolved by the County of Rock Board of Supervisors on, this was done in March, the end of March, that the day of April 25th, 2019 be recognized and stand as Against Racism Day in the County of Rock. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. So the theme this year, as you just heard, is no hate, no fear. Immigrant justice is racial justice. We acknowledge some very discouraging statistics concerning immigrant women. 42% of immigrant women earn less than $20,000 per year. More than 50% of women working as maids or housekeepers are immigrants. Median wages for maids and housekeepers are 60 cents above the poverty threshold. Approximately 5 million immigrant children live in homes where they witness domestic violence. 1 in 3 Latinx have experienced domestic violence in their lifetime, Yet 1 in 3 shelters do not have any Spanish-speaking staff. 50% of Latinx who experience abuse never report it. 41% of Latinx believe the primary reason for not reporting is fear of deportation. Immigration status is a common and powerful control mechanism partners use to force immigrant women to stay in abusive relationships. So we have 3 ladies in our community who are going to share their personal immigration story. The first is Patty Sanchez, who is in HR and is the Latino outreach person for Premier Bank.
Hello, everyone. So I'm actually standing in for Ale, which was going to give you an amazing story about her and her husband going through the process of the whole immigration. So I wanted to give you a little bit about that first before I talk about myself. So Ale is an employee of ours, which started as a teller, and her husband is going through the residency process. She was given a promotion to a bilingual outreach coordinator, which she is doing a lot of things for our bank. So one of the things that we have going on is the bank is giving loans for people that do have that ITA number, that don't have the capability of doing it at other banks. And with us being a community bank, we have a lot of processes that we can do internally with our board of directors to be able to give them that dream of owning a home, owning a vehicle, having, even the smallest, sending their children to school and having personal loans to pay for those things that they cannot do. We are trying to do more to try to figure out, in order to get a loan, there's certain percentages that you have to put down, and most of them don't have that. So we're trying to figure that out for them to see what we can do as a bank and for our community to get them that 20% or 10% of whatever it is that they need down for a mortgage payment. We have other fundraisers going on for our community. We have a fundraiser actually going on for the YWCA. We have a Cinco de Mayo celebration that we will have free for everybody. It's actually in Whitewater, but we're going to try to move it everywhere to Janesville and things like that. We have a bank here in Janesville. What else can I tell you? My dad was actually an immigrant, so I had to go through the whole process of my mom being in Texas, and we lived in a border town because my dad couldn't come over and see us and things like that. That's when we became migrants, and we ended up in the wonderful state of Wisconsin. So that is how I became HR and Latino community outreach, just because I feel like we're not in that level yet I feel like my mom still thinks as I shouldn't be in the position that I'm at. I should be working out in the fields or the factory and things like that, and I don't think that I have to do that. So it's just, I guess, everybody's preference, but I did work for UMOS, and I did get to learn of a lot of the people that came over that I got to help, and that was amazing. So I'm trying to help as many people as we can I know we're just a bank, right? Everybody says that, but as much as we can do and any advice, then we would take it. So that is what I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Patty. Now we are going to have Dr. Joy Ngobi, who is a native of Uganda, and she's also an anesthesiologist here in Janesville.
So my immigration story is a little bit different, actually. So I came here in 1992 from Uganda. I did win a full scholarship during the Clinton days. Just like every first lady in America has an opportunity, you choose a topic you want, and Mrs. Clinton chose educating women across the globe. So every year, 200 women descended on America on full scholarships. I was one of those. I competed with about 400 women. I competed with about 400 women in Uganda, and I think there was only 2 of us that year. So my scholarship was to the great state, to the University of Minnesota, and today I'm here to promote them. I apologize. Wisconsin, I love you. You're great people. So basically my scholarship was full board. It was administered by the US, given to me by the State Department, administered by USAID, and the real manager of that scholarship was called the African American Institute, based at United Nations. So we first took a tour of UN when we came here. It was great in New York for a week. What I didn't understand, my visa was called a J1, which is you're trained as a full professional. I was a doctor at about age 26. And you're supposed to go back to your home country for 2 years, and you transfer that knowledge to your nation. After 2 years of homestay, you're free to go anywhere you want in the world. I didn't know that. The 2 years of a full scholarship meant that you didn't have to worry about bills. They sent you a check of pocket money of $900 every month. I had health insurance. All my fees were paid. I really had no cares. So, I arrived at the University of Minnesota. It was wonderful. I actually completed a degree in public health because HIV was just breaking in 1992. I was one of the first people to research HIV, and honestly, my country needed me. So, I graduated in 1996 with a master's degree in public health with a major in epidemiology and maternal and child health. Over the 2 years that I was in Minnesota, I met my wonderful new African family, a lot of them from Nigeria. They basically told me, you don't have to go back to Africa. You have a choice. This is America. And in America, we make our own choices. Nobody tells you what to do. They did not understand that I had a J1 visa, okay? And many of us don't understand what visas we have. Every visa has restrictions. So I followed what my Nigerian friends told me. Remember, these are all Christian people. They are wonderful people. I totally trusted them. So my journey really, after that, they told me, you're a full doctor. Why do you go back to Uganda? So I didn't go back. I hired a lawyer. Remember, I have money. They've been paying me $900 every month. That's a ton of money for me. So I hired the best lawyer in Minneapolis. He was a black guy. He was actually the head lawyer in Minnesota Lawyers Association. Unfortunately, he wasn't that good. He was a Nigerian guy actually too. So I don't really believe when people say you hire someone who looks like you because they'll do a good job. Not always, as my story will tell you. So my 2 years of I finished, I got into the residency program in anesthesia. My visa then had expired. Remember, it was only 2 years and I was supposed to go back. I kept prolonging it with the lawyer's help. You give him a ton of money, he changes it for you. And then I had a couple kids because my husband came over too and he went to the University of Minnesota for free. So we kept changing it with the lawyer's help. You pay them money, they do it for you. And right after that, when the visa would end, I would stop. I would be ineligible to go to school. So I would stop going to school for a month. And then they would renew it. And then I'd go back. So I graduated like that. And when I finished, my visa was good for 6 months. And unfortunately for me, my sister, who I followed, was a doctor in Uganda. She had gone to Amsterdam, Netherlands to study. And she got Lou Gehrig's disease and died within 9 months. So now I'm dealing with a lot more than I began with. A sister who was loved, dying, leaving 3 kids. So my story got really complicated. And now she used to take care of everybody in Uganda. When we grew up in Uganda, we take care of everybody. I came from a big family. Now Rebecca is dead. It's only Joy. I'm the only one with a decent job. Basically, I ended up not going. And I was lucky because my visa was good for 6 months. I got a job with my good friends down the hill, Mercy Hospital. I told them about my problems. They were in such bad need of a doctor. They came alongside me. The U.S. State Department sent me a bill of $65,000, which was the money that had educated me for 2 years. They were so sad that I disappointed them. My husband had equally done the same. His employer was so mad at him. Mercy paid me, they gave me $65,000 to pay off the U.S. Department. And you could justify, Americans don't have a doctor. So they paid for it. Whoever took it, the State Department took it. But that did not actually solve my immigration problems. The State Department is totally different ball game. When you sign a contract, it must be honored. So a couple years, it took around 1 year for them to get back to me. They said, no, we don't care about your money. We need you to go back. And they sent me a deportation order. And I had to leave the U.S. within 30 days. I told my employer, at that point, they really couldn't help me because they had nothing to offer. So they wrote me a letter and they said, Dr. Joe, you're not allowed near Mercy Hospital. If you do come, you'll be arrested. Really? I'm like, duh, you're terrible. But this is following the law. So along the way, as I was a doctor in this community, I had actually met Mr. Ryan. He had at one of the community things, and he had given me a card and said, Doctor, where are you from? I told him. He's like, if you ever have any troubles, I want you to call my office. I didn't. When he gave me the card 2 years before, honestly, I looked at it and I only took it because I was polite. I didn't think I could have a problem because I'd paid the lawyer $15,000. I had paid back the scholarship, so I was good. I took the card and put it in my little wallet. Anyway, when the deportation order came, I have a little boy who is 1 month old. I freaked out. And my husband freaked out. He didn't freak out. He said, God will take care of us. He's always like that. My husband is a good guy. Anyway, somehow Paul Ryan called. We told him our story, how we tried to follow the law, but we didn't really know what we were doing. He called Immigration Services in Milwaukee. They gave me a green card. So my story is different, really. I could not even stay here and talk to you. But what I've learned from my story is people like me, if I'm sent to be educated by the State Department, America is doing all it can to develop other nations. I mean, America is great, but we really have an obligation to do what's right. And for me, I broke the law many times. I didn't know what I was doing. Many times, we immigrants, we get information from our friends. They don't know anything better than us. The other thing I learned is, there are so many angels along the way. Even as I made these mistakes, in my story, God placed angels alongside me that kept rescuing me, okay? And I remember the guy who helped me. I told you my lawyer was from Nigeria. He was, a black guy. He was a terrible guy. He didn't do what he was supposed to do for $15,000. And his junior lawyer, actually a white guy, called me up and he was really sad and said, Doctor, I feel sorry for you. I will help you. He helped me for free. Now, the other guy, the guy from my continent, he was just yelling at me. So I guess my point is we cannot decide who is racist and who is not. We must develop relationships to know what's going on. You can judge by the color of someone. For me, as you can see, my story is really different. I've wanted to sue that guy so many times, but the Spirit of God tells me to let him be. And now I work to help create jobs in Uganda because I know I only stayed here because of a job. I work hard to create jobs for people in Uganda. I work through the Hope Institute, through my church, through Mercy Hospital. So again, my story is unusual, but it is my story. And I want to extend my gratitude to you all tax-paying Americans for the work you do across the nations. And hopefully together we can, change outcomes for people so nobody has to die crossing an ocean.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joy. And our final speaker is Haiti Medrano Ramos, who is a native of Honduras and a Parker High School freshman that I have the privilege of serving on the Janesville School District's Excellence for All subcommittee with. And many of these students here are on the committee also. So, Haiti?
Good afternoon. My name is Heidi Medrano. When you first meet me, you will notice that I'm a pretty average 14-year-old freshman at Parker High School. I like to listen to music and I love to play soccer. When you get to know me a little, you will learn that I'm outspoken. I fight for what I think is right. I'm passionate about equality. I care deeply for my family and friends. But if you really knew me, you would know that there is much more to who I am and what I have experienced before here you today. Let me introduce you to the real Heidi Medrano. I was born in San Bartolo, Santa Cruz de Jehovah, Honduras, in August 6, 2004. My dad and mom split shortly after I was born. At first, my life was pretty good. My mom remarried. My mom's stepdad and grandparents were raising my sister and I. I had what any other child in my neighborhood had. Life was pretty good. When I was 6, my stepfather was murdered inside my home. I saw it all happen. After that, my mom became less involved in my life. Luckily, my grandparents took care of my sister and me. They did the very best they could. We attended a private school. I got good grades, and life went back to what was my new normal. When I turned 10, my dad came to visit. By this time, he had moved to the United States, became a citizen, and had a whole new life. He wanted my sister and me to come live with him. Part of me was excited. The United States, the land of opportunity. It looked like a great place on TV. Everyone had sport cars. It was always sunny. Everyone had a big house. It would be great except for one thing. I realized the rest of my family would still be in San Bartolo. Suddenly it wasn't so great. I was mad. September 19, the day I arrived in the United States. It took a couple of years for my dad to do what was needed for my sister and me to come here legally. I soon found out that the U.S. was not at all what I thought. Not everyone had a perfect life. Some people had no jobs or money, like I saw in San Bartolo. Others who immigrated treated me differently because I had come here legally. To top it off, it got cold and I learned that snow is not so pretty after all. Life hasn't been easy. I don't always get along with my parents. I have to work hard to get the grades I earn. People don't always treat me fairly and look at me as different. And to be honest, I am different. I appreciate more of what I have because I have seen others who go without. I stand up for others because I have seen people be treated unfairly, abused, and even killed. I work hard because that is what my grandparents taught me to do. I don't know what the future holds. To be honest, no one knows. I do know that I will continue to draw from the things that have made me who I am, continue to be the best person I can be, and set and achieve my goals. Thank you.
Thank you to the three ladies for sharing their stories. And now, please join, to recite the Pledge Against Racism is YWCA Board Member Maria Delgado.
Hello. Thank you all for being here. And thank you to ladies that share their stories, wonderful stories. Please join me now in reading the Pledge Against Racism found on the back of your agenda. My Pledge Against Racism. As an individual committed to social justice, I stand with the YWCA of Rock County against racism of any kind. I pledge to challenge my expression of racism in my presence by my family, my friends, my coworkers, and those I encounter. I will commit to a lifetime of promoting peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all people in my community and in the world. I take this pledge fully aware that the struggle to eliminate racism will not end with a mere pledge, but calls for an ongoing transformation with myself and the institution and the structures of society. I will challenge racial slurs, examine my own language for unconscious bias or stereotypes. I will challenge racial slurs, examine my own language for unconscious bias or stereotypes. Learn more about and appreciate the richness of other cultures and respect holidays and events. Please observe a moment of silence as we reflect upon the pledge and consider our individual actions moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share? Any individual actions they see that, yes? Come on up, young man.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. My name's Zaire Russell Jackson. How are you guys doing? Okay. I would like to speak on all of this about the standing against racism and the black community and how I'm trying to spread my message to get the word around to stop the racism and everything. Because everyone's the same. We just have different skin colors as usual, you know. But what I'm trying to get to is if we actually all come together as a community, we can stop all this racial profiling and hate crimes and everything and just love each other, love one another. Because everyone's the same, we just have different skin colors. But if you think about it, we're all people and we all have feelings. And once you say something that criticizes like an African American or a white person, everyone gets offended. But if you take time and get to know the person, you'd understand that what they had to go through to get to where they are and what they had to do to get to where they're trying to be. And people have futures, and as everyone's talking down on all these different races, as you can build them up and everyone come together and set something up. So if you get everybody together, all races, and talk to them about this is not okay, if you come together and let them know what I'm trying to say is,
Reach out to each other.
yeah, just reach out to each other, get to know one another, love each other. I mean, the love is love all around. You just gotta show it. You just gotta show people that you love them, show people that you care, show people that you're here for them instead of trying to bring them down. Why don't you just build them up and come together? And that's all I'm trying to say. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for those comments. So as we close, in the words of former President Lyndon B. Johnson, the land flourished because it was fed from so many sources, because it was nourished by so many cultures and traditions and people. Recognize racism. Eliminate racism. Racial justice. Justice begins with just us. Thank you very much for being here.